Roll Credits, where movie lovers get the trivia they didn't know they needed. This podcast was created with help from AI tools, so double-check any quotes before you drop trivia at your next movie night. Today, we're accepting the invited dinner party that starts with awkward conversation and quickly turns into one of the year's funniest and most uncomfortable relationship comedies.
Yeah, and I mean, it really is uncomfortable.
Oh, incredibly.
Yeah.
Just imagine you are trapped in this gorgeous San Francisco apartment. The wine is flowing, the artisanal cheese board is out, and the couple sitting across from you has just offered this highly detailed, entirely unexpected proposition to swap partners.
Right, which is just, talk about a mood killer, or, well, a mood shifter at least.
Totally. And our mission today is to look at how a movie set almost entirely inside this one single pressure cooker of an apartment manages to pull that off. We're going to explore how brilliant production design, the mechanical magic of 35mm film, and just fearless improvisation transformed a simple comedy of manners into this razor-sharp dissection of modern intimacy.
Because, when you lock 4 people in a room and just strip away all the usual cinematic distractions.
Like the car cases and stuff.
Right, the car chases, the shifting locations, all those big set pieces. Every single creative choice carries, 10 times the weight. You're forced to rely entirely on the human face, the architecture of the room, and honestly, the tension of what isn't being said.
Okay, let's unpack this, because before we get into the heavy psychological mechanics of how they built that tension, we really need to set the scene.
Yeah, absolutely. Set the battleground.
Right. So our hosts for this excruciating evening are Joe and Angela, played by Seth Rogen and Olivia Wilde. And, fun fact, Olivia also directed the film.
Which is a huge undertaking.
Oh, completely. So Joe and Angela are this deeply frustrated, just constantly bickering married couple. When we first meet them, it feels like they haven't had a genuine, vulnerable conversation in, years.
Fighting is basically their only functioning form of communication at this point.
Exactly. And for reasons passing understanding, they have invited their upstairs neighbors down for dinner.
Right, which would be Hawk, played by Edward Norton, and Pina, played by Penelope Cruz.
Such a wild cast.
Oh, it's incredible. And the brilliant script by Will McCormack and Rashida Jones sets them up as the ultimate foil. They are everything Joe and Angela are not.
Right. They're just completely uninhibited.
Exactly. They are deeply charismatic, highly vocal, completely free-spirited, and just entirely unashamed of their very active sex life, which, crucially, Joe and Angela can hear through the ceiling every single night.
Which is the spark that lights this whole powder keg. But I want to highlight something really fascinating about where this script actually comes from. Because Rashida Jones and Will McCormack are incredibly talented writers, but they didn't just invent this premise out of thin air.
No, they didn't. They adapted it from a 2020 Spanish film called Sentimental, which is also known as The People Upstairs.
Right.
And that was directed by Seth Gay. But Gay actually based that on his own 2015 stage play.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But the truly wild thing about this specific narrative is its global footprint. The Invite isn't just a remake. It is the 7th international remake of this exact story since 2020.
Wait, the 7th?
7.
So we are talking about what? Italy, Switzerland, France, Russia, Czechia, South Korea, and now the U.S.?
Yes, exactly. In just 6 years, 7 entirely different cultures have looked at this really localized story of a stagnant marriage colliding with a liberated couple. And they just decided they urgently needed to produce their own version.
I'll admit, when you first hear 7th remake, it's so easy to roll your eyes and assume the film industry is just recycling the same tired IP.
Right, just cashing in.
Yeah, but it's actually more like a musical chord progression. The basic notes, the loss of intimacy, the specific exhaustion of a long-term marriage, the visceral awkwardness of hosting a dinner party. Those are just universal human experiences.
Oh, totally.
But the specific cultural flavor that Rashida, Will, and Olivia bring to the American setting makes it an entirely new song.
That's a fantastic way to frame it, actually, because the foundational architecture of the drama is rock solid, but the execution has to be incredibly localized to work.
Right, because an American couple from San Francisco avoids conflict very differently than an Italian couple in Rome.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And in The Invite, that localization leans heavily on the physical space where these characters are trapped.
Oh my gosh, the apartment. The apartment is practically the 5th main character.
It really is.
When you watch the film, it feels like this massive, expensive pre-war apartment right in the heart of San Francisco. It has these soaring ceilings, intricate moldings, just this incredible built-in character, but none of it is real.
Not a single room.
Production designer Jade Healy built every single inch of that apartment from scratch on a soundstage in Los
Which
Angeles.
is just a masterstroke of production design.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, in a single location film, the geography of the home is basically your primary instrument for building tension. Right. Healy specifically designed the space with these labyrinthine layouts, exceptionally long hallways, and very strategic narrow doorways.
So they could physically corner the actors.
Precisely. If you can't, cut to a new location to create visual interest, you have to use the architecture to trap your characters.
That is so smart.
And Healy didn't just stop at the floor plan. The decor itself tells you exactly who Angela is before she even speaks a single word.
Right, they sourced it all from, like, real places.
Yeah, Healy and her team scoured Facebook Marketplace, Etsy, and local thrift stores to furnish the place.
Which, goes so far beyond just being a quirky behind-the-scenes fact. Finding real used furniture fundamentally changes a set.
It really does.
Because a vintage rug from Facebook Marketplace has actual wear patterns. It absorbs sound differently than a pristine rental from some sterile Hollywood prop house. It gives the room an acoustic and visual weight that feels undeniably lived in.
Absolutely.
And for Angela, it is the ultimate character detail. She's this overly caffeinated people pleaser whose marriage is crumbling. She has zero control over her relationship with Joe, so she fiercely overcompensates by controlling her environment.
It's her armor. She is manufacturing the aesthetic of a perfect life to just hide the rot underneath.
Yeah.
And Healy placed this brilliant visual Easter egg right in the entryway to signal the chaos to come. There is a Moravian star light fixture hanging from the ceiling.
Oh, I love that detail. For those who haven't seen one, a Moravian star is one of those jagged, multi-pointed glass fixtures. When you turn it on, it throws these sharp, chaotic, intersecting shadows all over the walls.
Right, and it is a direct, deliberate homage to Mike Nichols' 1966 classic, Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf?
The absolute blueprint.
Yes, which features a very similar shadow casting fixture and remains the undisputed heavyweight champion of Dinner Party from Hell movies.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it is amazing to see how cinematographer Adam Newport Barrett took that meticulously designed set and just weaponized it.
Oh, completely.
Because confinement could easily make a movie feel stagnant, but he turns it into the engine of the comedy. He is constantly framing Seth Rogen and Olivia Wilde in mirrors, or having them separated by doorways, or visually trapping them within window frames.
Yeah, even when Joe and Angela are standing in the exact same room, the framing makes them look like they're shouting across a canyon.
It's so isolating.
It is. The camera does the work of emphasizing the emotional chasm between them. The walls that hem the characters in also hem you in as the viewer. You really feel that shared claustrophobia, which just makes every passive-aggressive comment land with so much more impact.
But, you can build the most brilliant set in the world and you can light it like a Renaissance painting, and it will all just fall flat if you don't have the right people sitting at that dining table.
Right. It all comes down to the performances.
And this cast is electric. Seth Rogen gives what might be the best dramatic performance of his career. Penelope Cruz brings this grounded, deeply empathetic confidence that steals every scene.
She's amazing.
And Edward Norton is effortlessly charming, but there is this unpredictable edge to him that just keeps you totally off balance.
And then there's Olivia Wilde.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she completely sheds that effortless, cool girl persona we usually associate with her to play Angela.
Totally.
She is frantic, validation-starved, and just incredibly vulnerable.
But here is the crazy part about her performance. She never intended to be in front of the camera for this.
No, it wasn't the original plan at all.
No. She was set to direct, and she had this dream ensemble lined up with Rogen, Norton, and Cruz, but she couldn't find the right actress to play Angela.
She just kept striking out.
Right. She kept pitching different incredible actors to the group, and they just kept dragging their feet. Finally, the cast collectively sat her down and said, "We want you to do it."
And she pushed back.
She did. She admitted she was genuinely intimidated to act alongside heavyweights like them while also directing. She only stepped into the role because her cast effectively demanded it.
That kind of vulnerability and trust on a set is exceedingly rare. And because Wilde recognized how special that dynamic was, she made some incredibly bold logistical choices to protect it.
Right, like the film stock.
Exactly. Most notably, her absolute insistence on shooting the invite on 35mm film.
A choice she believed in so much that she self-financed the film stock out of her own pocket when the studio wouldn't cover the extra costs.
Which is just wild when you think about it.
It really is. Indie directors usually fight tooth and nail just to get digital cameras insured, and she actively chose to bleed her own budget for the sake of the movie's texture.
It was a massive gamble, but it fundamentally altered the DNA of the production.
Wait, I'm stuck on this 35mm choice.
Mhm.
Let's look at the logistics here. You are shooting a dialogue-heavy comedy entirely in one room on a tight indie budget. Isn't digital just the safest, most logical choice?
All on paper, 100%.
Because you can run digital cameras for hours without stopping. Why take that financial risk with physical film?
Well, if you were looking at a spreadsheet, digital is always the answer. But Wilde wasn't looking at a spreadsheet. She was looking at the psychology of her actors.
Okay, interesting.
When you shoot digitally, because it's virtually free to keep recording, the energy on set can get very loose. Actors know they have unlimited takes, so focus can naturally drift. But physical film is mechanical. A standard film magazine holds about 400 feet of film.
Which translates to practically, like in terms of time?
Roughly 4 minutes,
Yeah.
just 4 minutes of shooting time before the camera physically runs out of film. And everyone on set can hear it happening.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it makes this distinct clicking, whirring sound as it pulls through the magazine. Wilde described that sound as casting a spell over the room. It forces an intense, absolute focus.
Because they know it's finite.
Exactly. The actors know that every single second that camera rolls is costing real money. It transforms the performance from a casual rehearsal into a high-stakes theatrical event.
The pressure cooker isn't just in the script, it's in the actual machinery recording them.
Exactly. And aesthetically, film treats human skin differently than digital sensors do. Digital can sometimes look clinically perfect, so sharp that it feels artificial or sterile.
Right, the uncanny valley effect.
Yes. 35mm film has an organic grain. It captures skin tones and textures with a muted, forgiving intimacy that perfectly suits a movie about vulnerable, flawed people.
And just to ensure the movie didn't feel completely sealed off from the outside world, they did grab a tiny bit of B-roll on location in San Francisco.
Right, just a little bit.
You see Seth Rogen on a real Bay Area rapid transit, a BART train in Wilde shopping for produce at the real Castro Farmers Market. It's just enough visual evidence to remind you that this suffocating apartment exists within a real, breathing city.
But that intense, high-stakes environment created by the 35mm film directly fueled what is arguably the single most dynamic element of the film, which is the improvisation.
Here's where it gets really interesting. They shot the film chronologically over 23 days, which in Hollywood is almost unheard of.
Yeah, it never happens.
Usually you shoot based on whatever location or actor you have available that day. You could easily shoot the climactic final argument on day one before the actors even know each other.
Shooting in order is a massive luxury, but it allowed them to constantly workshop the dialogue. McCormack and Jones's script was phenomenal, but the chronological schedule turned it into a living organism.
It could breathe.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The cast would shoot a scene, go home, let the emotional dynamic simmer, and come back the next morning with entirely new insights about how their characters would react.
And that freedom led to some absolute magic on screen. For instance, there's this beautiful, bizarre moment where Penelope Cruz's character, Pina, just starts singing a Sod song.
Yes.
Cruz completely invented that on the spot. She just felt the rhythm of the scene and went for it.
And suddenly, the production team is scrambling to secure the expensive rights to a Sod song.
Right.
But the most stunning example of this real-time creation happens in the third act. Edward Norton delivers this massive, heartbreaking story that shifts the entire tone of the evening.
It's a huge turning point.
Norton improvised that entire monologue. He went to Wilde a week before they were scheduled to shoot the scene and told her he had an idea for a story, but he specifically refused to tell her what it was.
Because he wanted to capture her genuine, unfiltered reaction on camera.
Exactly.
Since she was playing Angela, she would be hearing it for the very first time in character while the cameras were rolling.
Yes, but think about the mechanical problem we just discussed. They are shooting on film. The camera only holds 4 minutes of stock. Wilde has no idea how long Norton's improvised story is going to take.
Right, he could go on for 10 minutes for all she knew.
Exactly. So she manages to source a rare, massive 1,000-foot magazine and loads it onto the camera. And for the only time during the entire shoot, she chose to roll 2 film cameras simultaneously. One tight on Norton and one tight on herself.
Which means she is burning through expensive physical film at twice the normal rate. entirely on a blind leap of faith that Norton is going to deliver something usable.
It's an incredible flex of trust.
It really is, and you can feel that kinetic energy in the final product. The overlapping dialogue throughout the movie is so fast, so layered, and so messy, it really feels like you're trapped at the table with them.
It is a brilliantly controlled chaos. And it's carefully balanced by the film's unexpected use of sound and music. Because the visual space is so confined, the audio environment carries a huge narrative burden.
Oh, the score.
Yes, Devonte Hines, who performs as Blood Orange, composed a stunning cello score for the film.
It is such an intense score, plucking strings, heavy bowing. Honestly, it feels completely disproportionate to a comedy about a dinner party.
But that disproportionate feeling was exactly the goal. Wilde wanted the score to act as a Greek chorus, amplifying the stakes.
That makes so much sense.
Right. The cello isn't just background music. It is essentially playing the frayed nervous systems of these characters. It's signaling to you that, emotionally speaking, the danger in this living room is just as high as the physical danger in an action movie.
But then you reach the ultimate paradox of the film. You have this movie driven entirely by witty banter, overlapping arguments, and incredibly fast-paced dialogue. But when Joe and Angela finally hit their absolute breaking point, the climactic fight of the movie, Wilde and Rogen realized they were talking too much.
Yeah. In a movie built entirely on words, they realized the most tragic reality for this specific couple would be to have absolutely no words left.
So they completely gutted the script for that scene. They stripped away huge swaths of dialogue and just let absolute silence do the heavy lifting.
That's so powerful.
It is. After years of marriage, they proved that what is left unsaid is often the most devastating. It requires a tremendous amount of trust in the audience to force you to just sit in that quiet, suffocating discomfort with them.
And all of this brilliant craftsmanship, the Facebook Marketplace furniture, the chronological shooting, the mechanical pressure of the film stock, the silence, it all serves one ultimate thematic purpose, which is a profound exploration of modern intimacy.
Which brings us to the elephant in the room, or, more accurately, the proposition in the room. Hawk and Pina eventually lay their cards on the table and propose a swinger arrangement to Joe and Angela.
Right, the inciting incident.
Yeah, and what I found so refreshing is that the movie refuses to treat ethical non-monogamy, or ENM, as a cheap, scandalous punchline.
Exactly. It doesn't judge the lifestyle, but it also doesn't blindly glorify it as the ultimate solution to everyone's problems. It approaches the concept with genuine psychological curiosity.
And that authenticity comes from a very specific source, right?
It does. Wilde actually spent time consulting with the renowned psychotherapist and author Esther Perel to prepare for the film.
Esther Perel, I mean, she is basically the godmother of understanding modern relationship dynamics.
Exactly. And Perel's theories fundamentally shapes the narrative. Her work focuses heavily on the paradox of domesticity.
Oh, the tension between security and freedom.
Yes. The inherent tension between our need for security and our desire for freedom. In a long-term relationship, we desperately want our partner to be safe, predictable, and dependable.
But at the same time, we want them to be exciting, mysterious, and deeply desirable. And those two sets of needs are constantly at war with each other.
Perel asks the tough questions.
Yeah.
Are you making active, conscious choices to be with your partner every day? Or have you just surrendered to the momentum of your shared history?
Wow.
Right. Do you actually know the evolving person sitting across from you, or are you both just stubbornly playing the roles you established a decade ago?
So what does this all mean for you as you watch it? The story isn't really a moral lecture advocating for or against monogamy. It is using the upstairs neighbors to ask a much scarier, much more universal question. Has comfort become the enemy of intimacy for Joe and Angela?
That is the philosophical core of the film right there. The swinger proposition is merely a catalyst to force the issue. The real tension, the real heartbreak, comes from Joe and Angela realizing they've spent years living beside each other rather than with each other.
Yeah, that distinction is so painful.
And this is where the movie's going to hit home for you. Because whether you are married, casually dating, or even just navigating a long-term friendship, you have absolutely been in a situation where pretending everything is fine becomes significantly easier than engaging in honest, uncomfortable communication.
Oh, totally. We have all swallowed a passive-aggressive comment while trying to pick a place for dinner just to keep the peace.
100%.
We have all quietly fumed while assembling IKEA furniture rather than admitting we are overwhelmed. We have all manufactured a slightly more polished version of ourselves for guests to hide the fact that we are exhausted.
And what the invite does so beautifully is that it refuses to give you a neat, fairy tale resolution to that. It chooses to sit right in the messy middle of those dynamics. It leans heavily into Perrault's concept of rupture and repair.
The idea that a relationship has to break in order to grow.
Yes. It suggests that perhaps the version of the relationship Joe and Angela had is naturally destined to end. It's over.
Right.
But it is entirely possible to start a new relationship with that exact same person if you are brave enough to burn down the old dynamic and be brutally honest about who you both are today.
If you can survive the rupture, you have a chance to rebuild. It is a terrifying prospect, but it is also deeply, profoundly hopeful.
It really is.
It makes you wonder, if the ultimate test of a relationship isn't how you navigate the massive world-shaking tragedies, but simply how you survive a Tuesday night dinner with strangers. What is your own Tuesday night dinner revealing about you?
It's a question that lingers long after the credits roll, and it completely recontextualizes every interaction you have had in that apartment.
And that wraps our dinner party with The Invite. If you enjoyed this episode, follow Roll Credits and share it with your fellow movie fans and let us know what film we should cover next, old or new. We'll be back soon with more trivia, more movie magic, and hopefully a few less awkward dinner conversations.